wonderful things, mothers. They are usually the first people we bond with, our first friends, our first teachers. Their influence can shape our lives. As I've got older, I've found many of the phrases my mother said to me coming home to roost. She was always so much more concerned than I was about my kidneys catching cold due to what I was wearing. And now I too am concerned about my daughter's kidneys, based upon what she is wearing at times. That look of bewilderment on her face, I'm sure, matches mine from many years ago. But the older I get, the more I realise my mother was right about everything. From not eating before swimming to sitting too close to the TV will give you square eyes, to remember your manners. My childhood was spent trying to ignore my mother's words of warning, but I know she had my best interests at heart. And when I grew up, I found myself drawn towards people who could offer me the same advice born from their own experiences. I learnt the value of respecting other people's opinions, sometimes closely aligned to my own, but views I could consider and then either adopt or disregard. By seeing the world as others see it, gives you a greater understanding of the world in which we live. By coming to faith, this helps you to see how we should live within it. Often when we plan these services, we have a passage to base the service on. We present to you a service rooted in Scripture, with hymns to complement the theme. But for today, we were given none, which meant it's actually harder to produce a service when you are lacking the focal piece. Sometimes when you're free to say whatever you want, all of a sudden you are speechless, and not in a good way. The days rolled by and still I was struggling. The right passage eluded me. Then Rachel texted me last weekend to ask how it was going, and I admitted I was stuck. It was harder than I had imagined. 8 minutes later. That's all it took, 8 minutes. I'm sure it will be brilliant as usual, she said. How about Proverbs 4, 1-9? And that, my friends, is what I give you now.
Wisdom is supreme. Listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning, so do not forsake my teaching. When I was a boy in my father's house, still tender and an only child of my mother, he taught me and said, Lay hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commands, and you will live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or swerve from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Wisdom is supreme, therefore get wisdom. Though it costs all you have, get understanding. Esteem her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. She will set a garland of grace on your head and present you with a crown of splendor.
After I had read the reading, I realized 3 things. The first was, ironically, when faced without the designated reading, I floundered. I was lost. I didn't know where to start without the anchor of the chosen passage. The second was the title of the reading, Wisdom is Supreme. It's important. It is something which should be sought out. The reading even tells us how to do it. Listen, my sons, to Father's instruction. Pay attention, and you will have understanding. What I am teaching you is good, so remember it all. He even gives the example of having listened to his own father telling him the same instruction as to verify his teachings. Wisdom is not something we are born with. We may share physical similarities with our parents, but the ability to listen is a skill we have to acquire. It's interesting because it does not state gains of a monetary value. Instead, it speaks of moral wealth and how much richer your life will be if we live through it. By listening to the advice of our elders and remembering their lessons in our daily lives, we too will grow in wisdom. I think of it like a plant needing water. Sometimes more is needed at different times of the year. Our reward, we are told in verse 8, is she will exalt you and make you great, and she will be a crowning glory, a characteristic which people can look up to. It is better than wealth or beauty, for the crown is not made of gold or jewels, but knowledge and truth. I found myself telling my children more and more phrases I heard growing up. It's 6 and 2 3s. It's raining cats and dogs. Or the best one, when my youngest child was ill, I told her brother I thought she had chicken pox. Why? He asked. Because she's covered in feathers and she laid an egg this morning. His face was a picture. But whilst these anecdotes may seem amusing, it serves as a reminder that children, especially the very young, believe everything they are told. That's why it's important to make sure they have good role models, good teachers. Whereas we should listen to our elders, we should also ensure the wisdom others ask of us to be true, rooted in faith, without judgment, and if needed, on repeat. We all have our favourite passages or phrases from the Bible, ones which speak to us more than others, ones which creep into our figure of speech. Lastly, the third thing I realised when I got Rachel's message was how easy it was to find a solution when I asked for help. We cannot always be expected to know exactly what to do in every situation. We cannot claim to have all the answers. Our elders may not always be elder in years, but elder in faith. So thank you, Rachel. Mrs. Thomas.